They're like the Oticon Intent hearing aids, only invisible. Hey guys, Cliff Olson, Doctor of Audiology and founder of Applied Hearing Solutions in Phoenix, Arizona, and in this video, I'm doing a detailed review of the Oticon OWN SI custom IIC and CIC hearing aids. Okay, so the Oticon Intent hearing aids have been around for a while now. They have also been some of the most popular hearing aids available on the market since their release in late 2023. The reason for their popularity is that Oticon released a second generation deep neural network inside of the Intent hearing aids that uses artificial intelligence for sound processing. You see, Oticon was the first major hearing aid manufacturer to use a deep neural network inside of their hearing aids back in 2021, which means that they are now the first hearing aid manufacturer to be on the second generation of their deep neural network while everybody else is still on their first generation. And while it might drive you crazy, all of the newest innovations inside of hearing aids always hit the receiver and canal style of devices first, meaning that if you're the type of person who would prefer to have a custom invisible-in-the-canal style hearing aid, you typically have to wait for that technology to trickle down to a manufacturer's custom line of devices. Well, I am happy to say that this technology has finally made its way down to a custom in-the-ear style device from Oticon called the Oticon OWN SI. Now, I can easily say that the Oticon OWN SI is definitely better than the previous generation Oticon OWN custom in-the-ear devices, but they are still not perfect. Now, before I get into the details of this hearing aid in this particular review, do me a huge favor and click the like button. It really helps out my channel. And if you are not yet subscribed to the channel with notifications turned on, go ahead and do that as well. It is greatly appreciated. And let me know down in the comment section if you happen to prefer an invisible-in-the-canal style hearing aid or a receiver-in-canal style hearing aid. Now, there are always pros and cons when it comes to hearing aids, and the Oticon OWN SI is no exception to that, which means that if you want to maximize the pros and minimize the cons, you need to make sure that you find a hearing care professional that follows comprehensive audiologic best practices. Best practices are a series of considerations and procedures that must be completed by your hearing care professional in order for you to experience the full amount of benefit from whatever hearing aid you use. However, finding a hearing care professional who follows these best practices can be extremely difficult, which is why I recommend that you go to my website, hearingup.com, and find a Hearing Up Network member in your area. Hearing Up members are committed to following best practices to ensure that you receive the maximum amount of benefit from the Oticon OWN SI or any other hearing aid you choose to use. So if hearing your absolute best with your hearing aids is your top priority, then finding a Hearing Up Network member in your area is your best bet. Okay, so the Oticon OWN SI comes in two custom styles. You have the Invisible-In-the-Canal style, which is the one that I have here, and the Completely-In-the-Canal style, which is slightly larger. Now, while it is nice that these hearing aids are so small, you definitely give up certain features in order to get them this small. For instance, in the previous generation Oticon OWN hearing aids, you also had an in-the-canal, a half-shell, and a full-shell style that had more capabilities than what you have with these devices. This includes Bluetooth connectivity with your phone. That is something that you do not get with the Oticon OWN SI. This means that you have no app controls, you have no Bluetooth streaming for media or for phone calls. And as of the launch of the Oticon OWN SI, Oticon does not have any of these larger styles, so you do not get any of this wireless connectivity capability. You also do not get any of the 4D sensor technology that made the Oticon Intent substantially better than the generation that preceded it, because there simply is not enough room for a motion sensor inside of these tiny hearing aids. So basically, one of the major benefits of the Oticon OWN SI is that it is so incredibly small that it's virtually invisible. Now, if you want this hearing aid to be as small as humanly possible, like the ones that I have here, you want your hearing care professional to do digital ear scans on you and upload those scans to Oticon so they can make these hearing aids really small and fit really deeply into your ear canals. Now, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, these ones that I have here are the Invisible-In-the-Canal style of these devices. We abbreviate those IIC. The CIC is a little bit larger than these, but they also have room for an optional push button. That push button can be used to change programs, and it can be used to change volume. Honestly, I'm surprised that Oticon still has not figured out a way to make these adjustable using a smartphone. You have over-the-counter hearing aids that are out there right now that have apps that can communicate non-wirelessly with their hearing aids to make volume and programming adjustments. Even other hearing aids use magnet wands to make adjustments to the program settings of their devices, meaning that you have the ability to make at least some adjustment on these smaller hearing aids. Now, I get that one of the key purposes of having an Invisible-In-the-Canal style hearing aid is that you can just set it and forget it, and at the end of the day, you take it out of your ear. But some people really want the ability to adjust these. Now, let me give you a little bit more of a close-up of this particular hearing aid. So like I said, this is the IIC right here. What I'm holding it by right now is the removal string, and this removal string is very short. It's like 5 millimeters. I don't even know if you guys can see that, but you have an option of making that a little bit longer. And on my right side, I can tell you it needs to be a little longer because it's very hard to get this out of my ear. You can see here that I have the black faceplate on there. It does have a battery compartment on it right here, and that is for a size 10 battery, which is the smallest size of battery that you can get, a disposable battery that you can get for a hearing aid. I'm gonna go ahead and take the sticker off of the back of that battery and pop it into the hearing aid so you can see how that goes in right there. Hopefully that's in focus for you. At the tip of this hearing aid, we do have their typical wax trap system, but you can get an extended receiver tube if you absolutely need to. Now, just to show you how invisible these are when I wear them, I'm gonna go ahead and put in both of my Oticon OWN SI hearing aids here, and I will spin to show you what it looks like in my right ear. And again, they come in a variety of different faceplate colors, but I highly recommend that you get the black color because when you look in someone's empty ear canal, it just looks like a black hole. So if you get a flesh color faceplate on here, it's going to stand out more. Now, Oticon makes some of the deepest IIC hearing aids that I have, and like I said, these removal strings are pretty short. It's hard for me to get them out. I was able to get the left one out fairly easily, but as I try to get I got it. I have to say that these hearing aids are by far some of the most invisible hearing aids that I own, and the only hearing aids that are more invisible than these are the Lyric extended wear hearing aids. Now you can see here that I do have the shells of my hearing aids color coded. I have a red for right and blue for left. It just makes it easier to identify which one goes in which ear so you don't have to read the really small print that's on there. Of course, if you prefer a different color, there are several other colors that you can choose from. All right, so let's go ahead and go back to the batteries really quick. So you know that they use a disposable size 10 battery for both the IIC and the CIC version of this hearing aid, and you get anywhere from around 40 hours of battery life to 55 hours of battery life on a single battery. So depending on how many hours you wear these hearing aids every single day, you're probably gonna get maybe 3 to 4 days of battery life before you have to fight with one of those child-proof packages to get another pair of disposable batteries out. Honestly, I was really hoping that Oticon was going to figure out a way to make these hearing aids rechargeable because those battery packages are so difficult to get into, and we're in 2025 right now. Pretty much everything is headed in the direction of being rechargeable, but for these hearing aids, you still got to go disposable battery. Hopefully in the future they do come out with larger versions of this hearing aid and make them rechargeable to make it easier for individuals with finger dexterity issues. Now, the Oticon OWN SI come in 4 different technology levels. You have level 1, 2, 3, and 4, with level 1 being their premium offering. Now, as you will see in this review video, each time you drop down in technology level, it takes features and customizations away from your hearing care professional when they're trying to optimize the performance of these devices for you. However, I have to say that it does not guarantee that you will drop down in performance if you drop down in technology level. It just means that there is the potential that you'll be leaving benefit on the table. So my recommendation is literally the same for everybody. You should be going with the highest level of technology that you can reasonably afford, and if you cannot afford it, you should be dropping down to whatever technology level you can afford, and then it's the job of your hearing care professional to optimize the performance of those devices for you. Now, I'll get into those feature differences here in a little bit, but first I want to talk about the fitting ranges of these hearing aids. Now, they are smaller in the canal style hearing aids, but you can still get a 75 decibel receiver or a 90 decibel receiver. Now, keep in mind, the 90 decibel receiver will be a little bit larger, so it might make these devices bigger inside of your ears, which means it will make them potentially more visible. Now, because you have the option of a 75 decibel receiver and a 90 decibel receiver, you can technically fit a hearing loss anywhere from a mild level hearing loss all the way up to a severe level hearing loss. Although I will say that trying to fit anyone with a moderately severe level hearing loss or worse with an Invisible-In-Canal or Completely-In-Canal hearing aid is borderline malpractice. For most individuals, you just cannot hit severe level prescriptive targets with an in-the-canal style hearing aid because even if you try to increase the amplification enough, you're just going to get feedback issues. That being said, Oticon is one of the best brands on the market right now when trying to hit high frequency prescriptive targets without the risk of feedback. Just don't be surprised if you have a severe level hearing loss and the Oticon OWN SI is not able to successfully treat your hearing loss. Okay, so now that we have all of the basics out of the way when it comes to the Oticon OWN SI hearing aids, let's talk about the headline feature of these devices, which is the Deep Neural Network version 2.0. Since the SIs are built on the same Sirius platform as the Oticon Intent, so you basically get the same deep neural network inside of these devices. Now, if this is the first time that you're hearing about a deep neural network, first of all, where the heck have you been? Because we've been talking about this stuff for like the last 4 years at this point. And second of all, a deep neural network is like an artificial human brain that you feed a bunch of different sounds into, so the artificial intelligence of that deep neural network can identify the differences in the characteristics of sound, primarily identifying the differences between speech information and noise information. This way, it can separate speech from background noise better than what a man-made algorithm can. And the result is you being able to hear substantially better in a background noise situation. Now, if you would like to learn a lot more about deep neural networks used inside of hearing aids, I will link this video down in the description for you. Now, as far as customizability goes of the Oticon OWN SI hearing aids, it's different based on the technology level. So if you have the top tier premium level technology, you get 24 different adjustment bands to customize the amplification levels to your prescriptive targets. This drops all the way down to 14 different adjustment bands in the level 4 devices. This means that your hearing care professional is not going to be able to customize the level 4 devices as precisely to your prescription as what they can the top tier devices. Of course, in order to make sure that they're actually being programmed properly, your hearing care professional has to perform real ear measurement to verify that you're hitting your prescription. In fact, if they do not do real ear measurement, then I wouldn't even purchase the premium level devices. I would drop all the way down to the lower tier because you're not going to get all the benefits of the additional features anyway. Now, another feature that you get inside of the Oticon OWN SI hearing aids is the sudden sound stabilizer. So if there's some type of impact sound in your environment, like somebody slams a door or they set down a pan on the countertop really hard and it creates a spike in sound, the sudden sound stabilizer can dampen that spike and make it much more tolerable. I've also noticed that when you increase the strength of the sudden sound stabilizer, the noise reduction tends to work better as well. And yes, the number of levels you get access to will depend on the technology level that you use, with 6 configurations on Tier 1 and only 2 configurations on Tier 4 devices. You also get up to 12 decibels of difficult neural noise suppression for louder steady-state noise, and 6 decibels of easy neural noise suppression for soft steady-state noise in Tier 1. You only get 6 decibels of difficult and 0 decibels of easy noise reduction with Tier 4 devices. Your hearing care professional can also use the results of your audible contrast threshold test to customize the amount of noise reduction that's most ideal for you. Other than the optional push button that you get with the slightly larger CIC version of this hearing aid, you also get 3 other features inside of the CIC version that you do not get inside of the IIC version. These include spatial sound, better ear priority, and tinnitus sound support. All of these require near-field magnetic induction, so the hearing aids can actually communicate back and forth with each other, and this is a feature that your hearing care professional has to make sure that they select when ordering your devices. The spatial sound feature is only available inside of the top 3 technology levels of the Oticon OWN SI, but it allows you to better identify which direction sound is coming from, which is called localization. The better ear priority feature is also only available inside of the top 3 technology levels of the CIC hearing aid, and this one's really cool because it basically performs binaural squelch. Binaural squelch is your brain's natural ability to identify which one of your ears has a better signal-to-noise ratio and then focus in on that ear, and that is exactly what this feature does. So if you happen to go into a noisy environment and you have more noise on the right-hand side of your head and less noise on the left-hand side of your head, those hearing aids know that and they start to focus more on amplifying the sound in the left ear and not so much in the right ear. Tinnitus sound support requires that not only you have near-field magnetic induction, but you also have to have that optional push button for you to activate tinnitus sound support to give you different masking noises like ocean waves or white noise. Just remember, you can use masking to mask over your tinnitus, but masking in and of itself is not a tinnitus treatment. If you have really bad tinnitus, you need to make sure that you go to a hearing care professional who understands the treatment of tinnitus other than just using masking noises. Overall, the new Oticon OWN SI hearing aids are not going to completely revolutionize the hearing aid industry, especially considering the fact that all the features that you get inside of these devices have been around inside of Oticon's older technology for around 18 months now. But I will say that it is really nice to have access to those amazing features that were released 18 months ago inside of hearing aids that are extremely small. So if you've been waiting for a custom Invisible-In-the-Canal or Completely-In-the-Canal hearing aid that uses Oticon's second generation deep neural network, then the Oticon OWN SI is probably the perfect hearing aid for you.